Morning. I think it's that time to do another video. Um, some thoughts going through my head. Election time's coming around. 2 weeks from now. Definitely gonna be there. So thoughts. Just seeing some of the stuff out there. Mind-rendering stuff. So you've got these Democrats out there blasting people that come out to support Trump, and they talk about they're supposed to be the party of love and unity and this and that. And once you are, avid or exposed Trump supporter or Republican, they just they get hateful. They're the ones that are prejudiced, start calling names and stuff. Um, you see the rallies and stuff, man. You see Asians, you see Filipinos, Cubans, Mexicans, the LGBTQ, whatever, the gay, I don't remember what's called offhand. Um, all of them supporting Trump. And everybody's just getting along, man. You got the straights, you got police supporters, all that, Everybody gets along. You can walk through those parades, even being a Biden supporter, and everybody's going to still treat you with respect. They'll talk with you rationally. I'm sure there are some of those outspoken people that act a fool, but in general, no. I mean, if you look at the parades and stuff, it's very peaceful. Now you look at the Democratic parades, the Black Lives Matters parades. Black lives do matter. All right, I'm not going to get into all that. That's not what this is about, but it shouldn't have to be said. Now, here's the thing. I started thinking, I was like, man, there's no systemic racism because blacks have equal rights as us, and actually, in certain ways, because due to affirmative action, they have some more so rights than whites. But that's neither here nor there. Understandably so. But I started thinking about it's like, there is systemic racism. And it's not what we think it is. The systemic racism that is out there is the Democratic Party. Now, Lyndon Johnson, back in the 60s, when he was running, when Goldwater, see, blacks created the Republican Party. It was the GOP, but when they were emancipated back in the 1800s, they loved the country. They loved the fact that they were freed. They started calling themselves the Republicans. When it was all white at one point, it was called the Grand Old Party. And our founding fathers even said democracy is not a good thing because it always resorts back into an oligarchy, which is like a monarchy, but ultimately it's like a group of people that appoint one person to run. So anyway, but it's all government control, which is where communism starts. Because then you get those certain people that just want everything to be their way and screw everybody else's opinions. We don't care, So anyway, we won't get into all that either. But the black people back in that time, they were, not that they're not nowadays, that's not what I'm saying, but they were hardworking people. They were gun supporters. They didn't commit crime. They just worked. They worked hard, and they had representatives down in the South. And then you had the black Democrats that created the KKK. Like Tulsa, Oklahoma, back in 1921 was primarily black. They were hardworking. They said money went around. It stayed within the community. They did really well for themselves. And the white Democratic pieces of garbage, it didn't like that. They were losing elections and stuff. Because you had the whites that were, we'll say now, just so people understand, it was called the Grand Old Party, but the whites that were Republican, we'll say, because that's what the Grand Old Party became ultimately. But the blacks created the term Republicans. So they were down there. You had a lot of blacks that were Republicans. Pretty much all blacks were Republicans because no black was going to vote for a racist piece of crap Democrat. And that's what Democrats were. They hated blacks. They believed in slavery. And they created the KKK, hence the hoods. That's why they did that, because they would murder and their faces weren't shown. They actually, if you do your own history, you'll see that they actually said that they proudly endorsed, they created that, the KKK. Back at that time, there was so much racism was accepted so heavily, ignorantly, that they didn't feel they had to hide it. Nowadays, they feel like they have to hide it. Now, this is what this video is about. So we're going to get into this. You can do your history on that. I'll leave that up to you. Joe Biden is one incredibly racist piece of dog meat. Now, if you people want to know who Robert Byrd was, he is the longest standing, I can't remember if he was Congress or House Representatives, but he was a senator, his Congress. 52 years, 51 years. All right. He was a Democrat. Born in 1917, died in 2010. He was a KKK recruiter in the 40s. He didn't hide it. All right. He was one of Biden's mentors. Biden eulogized him at his funeral. Now, people misconstrued and said, oh, he was a Grand Master. He wasn't a Grand Master. He was just a recruiter, but he was part of the KKK. All right. The KKK went into Tulsa back in the 20s and killed everybody. Burned all their buildings, everything. Oh, if you're black, we're going to kill you. If you're white, we'll find out if you're Republican. If you're Republican, we kill you. That's how they started winning elections. So now the 1960s come around, and Lyndon Johnson, another one of Biden's mentors, heroes, all right, decided, you know what? You got to understand how the Democratic mind works. So you're like, we're losing elections, so we got to start figuring out how we can win it. We need that vote, but we don't want to take care of them. They're not stupid people. The ignorant ones are the ones that follow it blindly, and it's not that they're bad people, they just don't understand the facts. They're blindly led because everybody now that I know that's Democrat thinks that Republicans are pieces of crap because they only care about the rich and screw the poor. That is not the case. Yes, there are Republicans that are that way, yes. George W. Bush was one very corrupt Republican. John McCain was a corrupt Republican. There are other ones out there. But a Republican in general supports the Constitution, which is what we are. We're a constitutional republic. We do not live in a democracy. Now, a democracy is, all right, my truck here, I work my ass off. I'm actually waiting for the rain to stop so that way I can get to work. But somebody can come here and take it. I don't have one. I don't want to work, but I need a vehicle. I'm going to use your vehicle. So what is mine is yours when you need it, and what is yours is mine when I need it. I can come take your car. There's nothing you can say about it. I'll bring it back. But that's pretty much what it is. That's a democracy. In a republic, what is mine, what is yours is yours. In a democracy, they believe in equal, they say that they're for equal results at the finish line. That's not true. I'm going to get to that in a second. In a republic, it's a free start. You can't, the person that doesn't want to do anything for themselves does not deserve to finish at the same place at the finish line as the guy, or the person that has worked their ass off their whole life. They don't deserve to be in the same spot, you know? There are bad Republicans, don't get me wrong. There are very corrupt Republicans. They're out there, but the party in itself is supposed to stand for a constitutional republic. Hence, Republican, right? It says to the republic for which we stand, not to the democracy. A democracy, they have good points they try to push, but they don't result in good. They don't have good outcomes. Okay. They lie a lot. So do Republicans. Some of those, but those are just bad politicians. You're gonna have bad seeds, bad apples in every batch. All right. So anyway. Democratic Party, Lyndon B. Johnson, actually, you can look this up, had a limo driver. He was a black man. And he said, he would call him by the N-word. I'm going to call you that. You are that. That's what he said. I'm not going to say it because the word pisses me off anymore in my life. I hate racism, man. It's stupid. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to hate somebody based on the skin color, man. I've been stolen from in my life 3 times. That I know of heavily 3 times. They're all white people. I've had black people in this truck with my firearm in a locked safe, knowing it was there with my money in there, and they never touched it. Don't tell me that, oh, blacks are thieves. Bullshit. It is in the character of the human being, not this stupid skin color, because the 3 times I've been stolen from, they're all white people. So am I supposed to hate white people? They're all thieves? I'm not. But that's the mentality of the democracy. Democrats. That's what they try to put out there. So anyway, you get these idiots, they're out there, don't understand what Biden's about. You know, you got to understand, he's 78 years old. He's been in office for 41 years. He's done a lot, but so much of the hatred and the racism that he has done was before half of the voters were even old enough to understand what's going on. The bill, now he ran for presidency in 1988 and he dropped out because of plagiarism. And it was so obvious. He dropped out because of it, all right? He had a bill in place and it didn't get in place because, or put into place, into effect, because he dropped out and all this and that. He goes to Bill Clinton in 94, or well, probably 93, it was pushed in 94, and he goes, you can look this up too. I post the videos on my Facebook page. Nick Dunsky, if this gets out there outside of Facebook, all right? This is recordings of him saying this. The man wanted to put people in jail for everything above jaywalking. Now, I know that's in a little bit of an exaggeration, but his point, what he said was, I want to lock... He said, now, if for a lot of you that don't understand this, there's these jive people in urban areas that do crime, and you put them in jail, you let them out, they're going to do it again. We don't need them coming into suburban areas, right, and committing these crimes and affecting mine and your families. Yes, he has a point on crime. If they commit a legitimate crime, they deserve to be punished accordingly. But he's like, now, for people that don't understand it, the word jive in urban areas is referring to black people. It was a 1970s term for black people, jive. You jive, dog, or whatever, however they wanted to put, that was the slang. That was a reference. It was a racist reference towards black people. Okay? He meant it that way. He was in his 30s in the 70s, all right? He knew what was going on clearly, and he was a politician. So he says, we need to lock these people up. These people? What do you mean by that? You don't mean white, because you said these jive people from urban areas. We need to lock them up. And I want to lock these people up. This is his words. I want to lock these people up for the rest of their lives for everything above jaywalking. Look it up. I got it. I have a video on my Facebook. You can look it up. It's him. It's not propaganda. It's not Trump that you want to say Trump lies. It's not that. It's factual. 1994. Clinton passed it. It created the record amount of black and minority individuals imprisoned. People were going to jail for 50 years for marijuana possession. Yes. Now, there's a lady, I can't recall her name. Trump just let her out because she was sentenced because of this stupid crime bill, all right, for never had commit a crime in her life. First offense, drug offense, I don't know what it was. 50 years? We got pedophiles doing 5 to 10, they're let out. Really? People doing minimal, heinous stuff. Murder, getting out in 15 to 20. But you're going to lock somebody up for 50 years for a first offense, drug offense? No, yeah, they should do jail time for drugs depending on what it is. But I don't know if it was weed or coke or what. 22 years she spent in there. Trump emancipated her because he felt this is extreme. She's a black woman. That crime bill put her in there. Now, this is what actually woke me up a little bit. I started thinking, I'm like, there is systemic racism. I know a lot of people are like, no. Now, yes, a black man can go in there and get a job just as well as a white man. But here's where the systemic racism is at for the people that live in those urban areas that were raised in the slums, because the Democrats want to keep people Lyndon Johnson created this in the 60s, early 60s, when he was running after Kennedy was killed. Now, that's another story. We won't get into that. I think Lyndon Johnson had him killed because Kennedy was actually really a conservative, just ran for the Democratic Party. He had conservative values. But anyway, Lyndon Johnson passed we got to figure this out and start getting a black vote. That's the only way that we are going to continue to or be able to win elections. Otherwise, it's going to be Republican from here on out. Now, democracy is really close to socialism. Hitler was a socialist. Now, people are actually starting to believe that they're actually okay with saying, yeah, I'm a socialist. Bernie Sanders is a socialist. Biden, socialist. Hitler was a socialist. Take your guns away because guns kill people, right? All right, so if guns kill people, so shouldn't we take all cars from people when drunk drivers kill somebody? They run them over? Shouldn't we take cars then? All people. Let's just take all cars off the road. Then nobody can get hit by a drunk driver, right? It's the same thing with guns, man. Some 300 million guns out there, and there's legal guns out there. And maybe 20, 30 suicides or stupid stuff like that, which that's low percentage. But all crimes committed with guns are felons. You don't see law-abiding citizens going out there shooting people up. Once in a blue moon, you see stuff like that. Not everybody is capable of owning a firearm. I think it should be taught in school. It's our constitutional right to have a firearm for self-defense. But the problem with guns, with law-abiding citizens, is the ignorance to them. Let's go back to Lyndon Johnson. All right, well, we will give government subsidies to these minorities that live in urban areas. We'll keep them there, all right? We'll keep them there, and we get their vote that way. But we don't want them with our kids. Joe Biden said that in the same conversation about the busing thing. He goes, and the whole thing with the crime bill. He goes, when it comes down to the whole freedom of school, that's why Democrats don't want school of choice. They want you have to go to school in that area. No, if you're able to make it to a school 20 miles away, 30 miles away, and it's not in your district, you should be allowed to go to it. As long as you can go to school, that's all that should matter. Democrats don't want that for one reason. They don't want blacks and minorities going to school with their white kids. All right? That is fact. Look it up. All right? Joe Biden said that in that conversation. He goes, I don't want my kids going to a racial jungle. What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? What else could it mean? He's white. I don't want my kids going to a racial jungle. And he's talking about urban areas. And he said that in another portion of the conversation, saying that there are jive people in these urban areas. He didn't want them coming out. So what it is the Democrats want to give government subsidies because there's two ways to make a slave. One is to work them and not pay them. Can't do that nowadays. We got too many laws because they already tried that. The Democrats did that back in the 1800s, right? They can't do it anymore. There's too many laws. So there's another way to create a slave. Pay them and don't work them. But just give them just a little bit, just enough to pay their bills so that way they vote for us because they're a slave to the system. But we won't work them. We won't allow them to get out of the cities. We contain them. We keep them in these areas. This is where the systemic racism comes in. We don't allow them to prosper. We don't want them to move out of these areas. This is the white democratic mindset. They are the racists, all right? That's why you don't see, you can look at every single, go look it up. The prospering cities, not towns, cities. And the failing cities, all right? And see who runs them. Detroit had 1.8 million people in it in 1958, all right? 1.8 million. It was Republican run up until then. 1962, the Democrats took over, and they've been in there since. There's like 600,000 people. It is one of the top 3 in the country for heinous, violent crimes, murders. All right. I don't know if it's top 3 anymore. It's top 10. I know that for a fact. It's been dwindling. No jobs. You know why? The Democrats have run it. They don't want people getting out of that city or any city. Every city that's, I can't say every, but in a majority, cities that are run by Democrats are in ruins because the people that run the shit and make the laws and stuff live in the suburbs. They don't want the minorities coming out. So they give the subsidies so that way they stay in the cities. They keep a wall around it. They act like a dog. They treat white Democrat politicians treat minorities, especially blacks, like a dog. I mean, that's the way they look at them. They do. They eat the chicken, they throw the dog the bone. The dog's happy with that bone, but he wants more. But no, but the dog will keep coming back, but you keep him contained. That dog, put him in the kennel. Democrats ain't stupid. Democrat politicians ain't stupid. The people that vote Democrat are ignorant. And now ignorant is not an attacking word. It sounds like it is. Ignorant means lacking intelligence or lacking understanding in that. I don't think that Democrat voters are primarily bad people. I just think they're very oblivious. They're ignorant to the facts. The majority of racism comes out of Democrats. Democrats are racist. The party was founded on racism. All right. The first president that was a Democrat was our 7th president, Andrew Jackson, 1830s. Okay. Our founding fathers even stated in that democracy is a bad thing. It's not a good thing. We do not want a democracy. We want a republic. It means equal opportunity for everybody to prevail as they are willing to work for it. That's what they stated. Nothing in the Bill of Rights, our Constitution, nothing in the Pledge of Allegiance, nothing, nowhere does it state anything about democracy and this being a democracy. The only thing that was ever stated about a democracy is their speeches where they stated that a democracy is not what this is going to be, not what we want it to be. It's not a good thing. We do not want it to be that it is a bad thing. That's the only time it was ever brought up. All right? So these Democrats, even the people that I know that are Democrats, see, I've lost friends over this shit, and I'm okay with that, because, I have so many friends that are Republican. I've realized this, and I love this. It's not even about being Republican, man, because there's libertarians have a lot of good ideas, too, and I don't know enough about their party to make a judgment on that, But they go alongside a lot with the Republican views. The Republicans just term that the blacks created because they appreciated what GOP, our republic, did for them and by emancipating them. Lincoln was a GOP, Republican. That's where it pretty much changed over to the Republican term. So I have a lot of like when I tell people, I'm like, I'm not. I go with the Republican Party because it's Republican or Democrat, I'm a constitutionalist, constitutional conservative. We live in a constitutional republic. Okay? It's called the Republican Party now. So that's why I say I'm Republican. So anyway, the same reason why Ron Paul, he's the one that actually, just watching his videos and he's a libertarian, but he ran for the Republican Party. And then when he was doing the debates back in 2016 running against the Republicans, no, 2012, I'm sorry. They're like, do you think the guy that does the talking to them all, he's like, do you think maybe you're more Democrat? And he laughed, like, no. And he explained the difference, It's like, no, not in the speech he didn't, but He did ultimately. I watched. I realized the difference, and so I started realizing the difference between Republican, Democrat, and I realized how heinous. And now seeing how the Democrats are actually acting over the last 4 years, it's insane. It's like a spoiled kid throwing a temper tantrum. It's ridiculous. The lies. That kid that comes up and smacks the kid sibling upside the head, and the kid cries and goes and tells a parent, and then no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't do it. No, I didn't. I never. I did not hit him. No, they're lying. No. So, at any rate, my friends that I've had that I realize use the N word pisses me off. I've lost a lot of friends over shit in recent times over that. But the ones that are racist, I can't, and I'm not saying this just because I'm trying to prove a point. I'm being honest. I can't think of one Republican that I know that uses that N word. I can't think of one that's racist. And if I could, I would say it. The people that use that N word are the friends that were Democrats and try calling Trump a racist. Trump also bought a club down in Florida that was segregated by the county, that was a racist county, and he bought it because it was primarily a black and Jew club, and he saw how they were trying to close it down. He bought it and went and fought just so they could have it. Look that up, okay? There was another video where Donald Trump in 2016, there was a guy there wearing says KKK endorses Trump shirt, and he grimmed him. He was pissed. You can see him. He walks over the other side, and he's just looking off.